Hello, Enrico from Denise Audio here. Today I would like to show you 3 of the tricks that I do with saturation over my mix bus. And of course we're gonna use God mode. The first trick is the one that I use to give my mix more low end. The second one is the trick that I use to give more analog mojo and glue to my mixes. The one is going to impart a lot of color to the sound. And the third one is more creative and can merge the 2 tricks. So we're going to experiment a little more with color and low end and punch and glue. Let's start with the raw mix without anything applied. This is the song. It's called Intoxicated. It's unreleased yet. The song is by 4 Oceans. So if you like the song, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, of course. Well, the song has already a mix at this point, which has a lot of low end and a lot of color. But what if we wanted to exaggerate this? What we would do is open an instance of God mode on the master channel and start working on the low end. So this is the result after. Let's take another listen without God mode. Without. And with. So let's see what we are doing here. Basically, I'm cutting everything below 40 Hertz because it's not something that we want to saturate at all. And then I'm also low passing everything under 180 Hertz. So this is what I am gonna saturate. Then in God mode, we are going to use the tape saturation and exaggerate the saturation of these frequencies. We want to be subtle. We don't want to exaggerate too much because otherwise it's going to be a mess in the low frequencies. But if you do just the right amount, this thing is going to make your low end really, really fat. Well, the tape saturation has a very, very distinct sound, but also we can use the buzz type of saturation, which has this other sound. This one I like very much because it's very extreme on the low frequencies. So what I'm going to do is dial in a combo of these 2. Once we have this, we want to mix this part of the distorted spectrum in with the original mix. Of course, this mix is going to make everything sound a little lower in volume. So we need to compensate with the makeup gain. But you can really hear how the difference is huge. If I bypass the plugin, this is the result. The advantages of this is that we're not only adding that part of the spectrum, we're not only boosting that one as if it was just a normal EQ. What we are also doing is saturating that. So that part is going to generate extra harmonics, which are going to make our mix way fatter. So we can literally decide how much we want to mix that low end in. So starting from 0, let's try and see which one is the sweet spot. I think 35 is already too huge, but you know, let's compensate a little for the volume. And you can hear how the guitars sound huge in this one, how the kick has a really, really big punch and the bass is enormous. Again, without, kind of thin, right? Of course, we are exaggerating, of course, for the sake of demonstrating. Cool. So this is one of the tricks that I like to apply to my master bass. Whenever I feel that the whole track has the right vibe, but it doesn't have the right punch and it doesn't sound fat enough. It needs to be thicker. This is really cool. Well, the second trick now is the one that I call Mojo and Glue. This is very different. Also uses a combination of tape and bass saturation. I find that these two are perfect for the mixed bass, while the warp one I usually use more on single tracks. In this one, we don't use any high-pass filter or low-pass filter, neither in pre, neither in post. But what we do is saturate the low frequencies, 78, and the high frequencies, mid-high frequencies from 3K up. And without pull, it would sound like this. This is because we are saturating very much the high end and also saturating a little more the low end. So basically this is kind of what would happen when you use analog gear and use the transformers. Let's take a listen without all of this. So with pool at 100% and no tape and no bass, we have the original. Let's use the bass distortion a little. This one is very punchy. And now let's use the tape saturation also. The combo of these two saturators is very cool because it gives extra glue to the whole mix. Basically, we are limiting a little the dynamic range and bringing up all of those parts of the mix which are low in volume, so the details come up, and we are also gaining more volume. Very, very good for when you need a very modern mix, you know, and you're trying to compete in the loudness war. I know I shouldn't tell you this, but fuck it, that's exactly what's happening on every mix that you can hear today, so I'm just gonna say it anyway. And then of course, as it starts to sound a little boxy because the frequencies which are less distorted stand out a little more, so this part of the spectrum. So we use the pool knob to compensate the frequencies that we were saturating, and so also compressing a little, because you have to remember the saturation also brings in some compression. So let's compensate and see how it sounds. Well, this sounds pretty fuck off. So this is bypassed. You can notice how by using God mode, we are not only EQing, actually, we are enhancing those frequencies, and we are generating harmonics which add up and generate more color. So the mix doesn't sound quite equalized. It sounds enhanced. It sounds like it has extra mojo. You know, that word that you always hear when we're talking about analog gear. Okay, well, the third trick is basically a mixture of the other two. So what I like to do is actually start by boosting the high frequencies on the saturation only with pull to 100%. And then start saturating them. You can hear how already it sounds way more punchy and aggressive. With. At this point, we can use a little high pass filter to cut the frequencies that we don't need in the master. And brighten up the spectrum. I'm gonna use the buzz just a tiny amount to have extra low end warmth. And of course, mix it in parallel so it doesn't really completely sound smashed. Before, after. The sound is coming closer to our ears. It sounds like a punch in our face now. That's exactly what we want with these genres, but you can apply this one to many different genres, rock, jazz if you want to just have a tiny touch of extra analog warmth, some extra color, some extra low end, just to balance the whole spectrum. I really suggest you try and experiment a lot with this plugin because this plugin is pure fire. That's all for now. I hope you enjoyed these 3 tricks, and please let me know how you like them, if they work on your mixes, your impressions, and of course, subscribe to the channel. Ciao.